Good morning, Grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blender at Blender HD. If you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Monday, October 24th. And you know what we do on Mondays? We bring in James McCool, co-author with me on the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. The new advanced players guide. Whoa, okay, I'm big. I'm small. Okay, I'm small now. I'm big. I'm small. That Devin is just fooling around with the settings or whatever. But yeah, how to apply profitable DFS strategies for advanced players. This new advanced course came out 6 weeks ago, something like that. 10 chapters of audio, 6 hours, more advanced concepts, as well as custom tools for Microsoft Excel that you can use to be more accurate and more efficient with your process as developed by James McCool. Say hello in the chat, everyone. Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thumbs ups and give me all the likes and subscribes and everything. Cobra Kai is back, says that he had a 72nd place finish in the $3 play action, playing Nico Collins over Mecole Hardman. And that cost just $74,850 in winnings. I'm assuming that's a very exact number. I assumed it was $75,000 versus $150.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because Mecole Hardman, we so many people on Twitter were trying to make Mecole Hardman happen for so long, and he happened, and no one had him. Right? No one had him.
He had 2 rushing touchdowns.
Right. Well, he happened.
I guess that's happening.
What was his ownership in the Millie? What was it? I think it was like 2%.
It couldn't have been more than like
2.1%. So people, hey, out of 221,921 entries times 0.0 times 0.0021. That was a 466 or so.
466 people, still believers.
Right, still believers. Was it? I mean, I don't even think he was in the winning lineup. Oh yeah, he was. Okay, yeah, there you go. That nice Mecole Hardman one off, and Paris Campbell. Right, that's all you needed to get. Right, the Burrow stack. Well, I mean, you were dead in the early. Right, if you didn't have Joe Burrow, you would just pack it up.
Yeah,
pack it up at that point. And you saw James at one point, the Millie winner. James, the Millie winner started had me questioning like the meaning of life. The Millie winner that at that time, not anymore. Going into the 4:00 games, had a Joe Burrow quadruple stack. So Burrow plus 4. So had Boyd, Higgins, Chase, and Hurst, and then had both Zeke and Pollard and the Cowboys defense to correlate with that. When I saw that, I'm like, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that I build my NFL lineups with the MLB lineup HQ tools. And are just like, I'm just going to play 5 threes, right? I'm just going to just like baseball, right? You take 5 guys from one team, 3 guys from another team, and you mix them together, right? 4-3-1s. I'm like, okay, time to make those types of lineups. But it didn't necessarily work out like that. Obviously, lineups that have like quadruple stacks work out on slates where like one team puts up like a ridiculous amount of points in comparison to others.
Yeah.
So like if all the other late games were like 17-10 games, like that would have won. So it's not like out of the question that you can't quadruple stack your quarterback or anything. But those are the cases. Like you need a very specific instance where one team puts up 50 points and everyone else puts up like 17. So like even the 4th piece of that stack like is enough points where it still beats off like most of the players in the other teams. But I did not have a good day yesterday. Cashed on FanDuel. I made money on FanDuel. I lost on DraftKings. DK Metcalf screwed me again. And then not playing Eckler, playing Mixon over Eckler. That looked pretty good early, right? But then Eckler just destroyed me.
Yeah.
The only saving grace was Prize Picks. How do you lose on that site? Can you tell me? I've been waiting. It's been 7 weeks. 7 weeks of profit. Now, it's not like I made a ton of profit. I made $1,000. I went 16-10 on Prize Picks, but I'm using the blitz projections. I did this week. It was Wednesday morning. I got most of mine in. I rounded it out with some fantasy point ones on like Thursday or Friday when they posted those. I don't understand. The only way you lose is if they tell you not to play anymore. I mean, like, I'm still shocked that I'm not limited.
I was just gonna say I'm surprised you're not limited already.
I'm shocked myself. I'm doing basketball now. Doing some basketball props with the NBA statistical projections we have here at RotoGrinders. But I mean that I've come to the conclusion, James. I've done it. I've done it, James. I'm going to scale back my cash game action on FanDuel and DraftKings, and just put that money into props.
Like I was asked yesterday what I thought was an easier way to build a bankroll between DFS and sports betting and like prop betting, and I like snap shoved said prop betting because it's not. I don't think that it's hard. Like you and I have had this discussion multiple times on the show. It's really not that hard to make money prop betting. If you want to make like $500 to $1,000 a month, I think you can do that relatively easily, so long as you have the bankroll to do it. Like
the key for this is not like. It's not about beating the market, beating the number. It's more about getting the money down and like.
And on Prize Picks right now,
the Prize Picks apparently lets me get the money down. I'm not. Do I have a special account or something? I mean, I don't. Maybe I'm under the radar because I'm making these $25, $50, $75 ones, but
that's very likely what it is. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but But James, I'm racking it up. I on Prize Picks for NFL, I had like $12,000 worth of props.
Which is great. I don't know why they are not limiting you.
I don't know why either. But should I even be questioning it? I have no idea. It's just last week I had a bad week in props, and I still made like a couple of $100.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it now underdog said their lines tend to like underdog. I'm good also, but their lines they overcompensate a bunch, so a lot of times you can't find value there.
Mm-hmm.
And also on underdog, I do 3 picks on underdogs, not the 2, because they pay 6x instead of 5x, just like on Prize Picks.
Yeah,
I take advantage of that by just round robining 3 picks, which means, you know, I may only have like a grand total of like 7 props over there, so I need to win at least 3 in order to even catch any of the tickets. So like if I win 3, if I win 4, it's almost like it's semi break even. But if I win 5, 6, or 7, it's like, you know, it's Yahtzee day.
Yeah,
like that.
But more like TPPs over there, whereas
Prize
Picks more like cash.
Right. So and then I'd also do 5 picks over there. I do 3s and 5s over there, and Prize Picks I do primarily 2s, unless I correlate, and then I get some of the correlated ones. Like I could have had a much bigger day on Prize Picks if Brandon Cooks would have gotten another like 11 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had Mills plus Cooks, and then I had the entire Niners passing game. So like Garoppolo's over plus like the Ayuk, Kittle, Debo combinations of 2 of them, not all 3, but 2 of them.
Yeah,
and like all these 4 and 5 picks. So they end up being like 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, stuff like that. But I don't want to just harp back on the props, but like, dude, just sign up to RotoGrinders. Okay, click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. Sign up for Prize Picks. Use the promo code Grinders. You get a $100 deposit match bonus. Sign up for get the blitz projections from Derek Carty right here at RotoGrinders. Like I'm people ask me, James, every week I post or whatever on Twitter or something like that, and like, well, what do I do? It's like I literally I don't understand, James. Do people not understand what the word literal means?
I literally don't think so.
Oh, you literally don't think so. So here it is. Here's my tweet. Derek Carty blitz projections. Find the largest discrepancies. Get in early at the best number. Round robin all the props, and then 4 or 5 pick correlated ones. If they not correlated ones that have big discrepancies also. I mean, don't just do it for the sake of doing it. right? Don't pick. I'm going to take Mahomes is over and Valdez Scantling if they're not plus EV. Like don't do it. But if you find multiple ones that are related to each other, they put them together. Like this is not difficult. The problem is that if you win too much, they'll limit you. Apparently,
Maybe.
There are plenty, James. There are plenty of people I know that are limited on Prize Picks. Most of the time, it's like $100 max bet and $1,000 winning on one player. Like you're limited to that, and then like a total of $2,000 worth of action.
Total of how much action?
2,000.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that would significantly that would curtail that would make it beer money level.
So I think that for NFL that makes it beer money level, but for NBA,
because you could do it every day. Yeah, NBA is fine.
Yeah, like if your limit is 2K per day on NBA, like 85% of people who are listening to us are not going to be priced out of that. 90% are not going to be priced out of that. So even if you get limited, I don't think it's that bad. The reason why I don't play Prize Picks is because I live in Tennessee.
Right, and then I'm in Tennessee.
Right,
but you could go on the actual sports books.
Well, and granted, I could also just drive 17 minutes up the road and go to Kansas.
But you might, but James, it may be worth it to do it because it's not like, dude, I'm 95+% of the stuff that I'm putting in Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, and then
I know. And then, it's not even out of the realm of possibilities. I should now that I've kind of been waiting for NBA to come back because I think that NBA props are something that are really nice to hit.
Yeah, but James, you can't do that. I mean, NBA, like stuff changes, and you'd have to. Here's the 20-minute drive again.
Yeah.
Like NFL's the type of thing. NFL's the type of thing that
you're right.
That like the blitz projections come out on like the first run comes out Tuesday night. The usage updates come in, Wednesday morning. Take a nice drive Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, just go hit all the ones that I can find.
Yeah. Right, hit all the ones you could find. You probably could find, 15 to 20 of them.
Yeah.
Round robin, you spend an hour. You do what I do. You round robin them all.
Go to lunch with the family.
Sit there for you can do that too. I mean, yeah. I would not do that. But
you don't like lunch, so
I don't. Yeah, I don't like people. that helps also. And then you drive back.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's not like you have to monitor this. It's like it's in, it's done. And then most of the lines move in your favor, and then you over the course of the season. I thought I'd like, okay, maybe I'll do this, and maybe I'll come out a couple $1,000 ahead by the end of the season. Like, okay, worth it for the time investment.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, like I'm up like 20 grand this season on Prize Picks.
Yeah,
like that, like what's going on? Like I'm questioning why I've not been limited yet.
Maybe it's because you're not a sharp. Maybe they think that you're gonna regress.
Maybe they think I'm a I don't know.
You're just a sun runner right now, dude. You're just getting lucky 7 weeks in.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's 7 out of 7 using the same projections that other people are using and moving the numbers. I don't know. I have no idea. I talk to other people that are sharp, and they're like, yeah, I destroyed on Prize Picks, and now I'm limited there.
Well,
but the only difference is that the people I'm talking to are putting in like $500 picks.
Right. So that's probably what it is. It's probably a threshold. That's my guess. I mean, I would think that there's got to be a threshold. DFIC asked what the optimal times to get the best numbers in for NFL, just as soon as we can. Yeah, right. Like literally.
There's no optimal time. What's the reason? Like James, they don't have props up. Do they even have? I already got some NBA stuff in already this morning. Like right now, they don't even have like next Sunday's games up. They only have like tonight's football up, right? But like they'll put up like later today, probably the Sunday for next week. Mm-hmm. Get them today. Now, what would be the reason why I'm not getting them? Like, why aren't I putting in my Prize Picks for next Sunday in like this afternoon when they go up?
Because you don't have projections yet.
Right, because I don't have I've not, unless there's something that's completely obvious Like I don't have anything to compare it to, right? So like how am I like what am I supposed to know what numbers are good and what numbers are what the biggest discrepancies are? I could look at a rushing prop and go, I think this number should probably be higher, but I don't know by how much. And remember, you need to have a certain discrepancy because you have to win these at 58% to make money. So yeah, that's the only reason. So like me, I'm just waiting for the blitz projections to come out. Once they come out, even the initial run, which Cardi's not made manual usage adjustments, I'm looking for such large discrepancies that what usage update is going to affect it to that extent, right? Unless there's a bug. There was the Farrell Brown bug from 2 weeks ago, where all the Browns were projected for like under everything because apparently in the whatever update that the algorithmic way that Cardi comes out with it had Farrell Brown with like a 15-point projection for no reason.
Incredible.
So obviously that came. So it's like, oh, Amari Cooper unders look great. It's like that, like that, like the entire Browns was bugged. So like I didn't jump on those, but it's like just as early as possible. Like once you have something to compare it to and go, oh, the rushing prop is 63.5. The blitz has this at 80, has his median at 88. Looks like I'm taking the over, right? Now, if the number was like 71, you wouldn't. But it's not enough of a discrepancy right there, right? You're looking for large ones. People, how much? How much do I need? Dude, so much that it would be so obvious.
It's always so. I had for
I'm saying I know that there's a mathematical answer to this.
Yeah, there.
But for functional, realistic purposes, unless you want to plug this into a Poisson distribution and see what the standard distribution for each stat is and for each player is, you can do that. But remember, you would do that more likely on what to bet from a Kelly perspective on regular sportsbook props. Here, you need such large discrepancies that, like, it would be so obvious. It would be, okay, guy has a passing yard prop of 205. The blitz has him at 288. Okay, that's good, right? 235, not good.
I was asked a couple times for people for prize picks. They're like, well, what threshold do you want to hit? You want to hit like 5% over, 10% over? I'm like, just the biggest ones.
The biggest ones, right?
It would always be, well, like, is there a certain point where you like must bet it? I'm like, I just take the 5 biggest ones. I bet those. Like, I think that there is eventually, you're right. Like you can go down to a really micro level if you want. You can do it mathematically. And most people, I think, would come to me with my math background and with like all my modeling background and say, oh, this guy uses these formulas to do these things. I don't have to. It doesn't matter. I'm not a professional sports bettor. And therefore, I don't need professional formulas to make these bets. Like if I was getting down $10,000 per month, or per week on NFL bets, like, yeah, I'd probably take it a little bit more seriously, put together some formulas to make sure that I'm getting the best action that I can possibly find. But I'm not. So if somebody is projected for 288 passing yards and their prop's 205, me likey, I hit. It's just caveman logic at that point. You just go for it.
And it's primarily due to the fact that on Prize Picks and Underdog, you need, like, they're fixed parlays. So, like,
right,
you need minus 137s or better.
Yeah.
Right. You need 57.6% implied probabilities or better, which means the discrepancies have to be large. Right. And you can put it on the distribution. Like I eyeball stuff, but I also understand the conceptual distributions of passing yards, of rushing yards, of receiving yards, of receptions, like learning the concepts. And that's why, dude, the stuff that's in the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, either the first course, the Fundamentals Masterclass, or the advanced course, will help you understand the mathematical concepts without needing a formula, so you can eyeball this and be directionally accurate, directionally correct enough. Like someone said to me, or I tried to explain, like there was I think 2 weeks ago, there was a Jawan Jennings prop. Okay. So Jawan Jennings had a prop on Prize Picks of 12.5 receiving yards. Obviously, he's like what, the third wide receiver on the 49ers?
Yeah.
And he's like the fourth option because you got Kittle there. And like he's out there, but he doesn't get targeted much. 12.5 receiving yards. The blitz had him at like 27 yards or 28 yards, which is a pretty big discrepancy, right? It's like, wow, it's like almost double. And I'm like, you can't think in terms of almost double. Now, if Deebo Samuel had a 50-yard prop and his blitz had him at 100, that's a lot. Like, that is a... Deebo's not even a good example. Like Godwin. Let's say Godwin. If Godwin was on Prize Picks for like 57.5 and the blitz had him at 90 yards, that would be much better than Jawan Jennings 12.5 when the blitz has him at 27. And you go, well, but the multiplier, it's like, think of the way that these players' distributions of outcomes and how many events, like that's going to determine the variance or the standard deviation of his outcomes. Okay, so for instance, Chris Godwin, if he had a prop of 60 and the blitz had him at 90, like Chris Godwin's someone that gets a 26% target share, 28% target share, gets lower ADOT, 8-yard, 9-yard ADOT. I mean, like, there are going to be a lot more events that make up his projection than Jawan Jennings. So for him to, if the blitz has him for 90 and the prop is 60, like he's getting there on like 8 receptions, 9 receptions. So it's much easier, right? His if the blitz has his mean at 90, that means 50. He could get 50 in one. He could make his prop in one half, not on one pass, but on 5 passes. Jawan Jennings, 12.5. This dude may only see 2 or 3 targets. It's going to come down to how many yards were each target. Like how many, like dude, like the difference between 12.5 and 28 in the blitz is like 1 reception for him.
Right. I was going to say, if the baseline for this guy is literally 14 yards ADOT.
Right.
And the blitz has him for 2 receptions, that's a 28-yard projection.
Right.
But if he drops that second one, you're cutting it real close.
Right. But the point being is that if you looked at his distribution, the difference between like 12.5, like let's say his prop was 12.5 and the blitz had him at 17. Like that's not the difference between those two is virtually nothing. Right? On his distribution of outcomes, because it really just comes down to how long is the one catch that he makes. So so this is the reason why, like on lower ends of the spectrum, sometimes, depending on the if it was a running back, that would be a different story for rushing yards. Right? Rushing yards, like, oh, did he get a 4-yard carry or a 5-yard carry? It's only a 1-yard difference. But for a receiver that has an ADOT of 10 to 15, it comes down to like, well, what's the real difference between a 15-yard prop and a 30-yard prop is just 1 reception. So it's not really as far, it's not, the discrepancy isn't as large as you thought. Now, I did bet on that, and it did move to 17.5, and I did win it, by the way. So it was, I'm just saying, in that case, it was worth it. But people show up with these like, oh, this running back, right, out of the backfield has an 8.5-yard like passing prop, a receiving prop, and the blitz has him at 18 yards. So I'm like, I wouldn't bet on a lot of these, right? I mean, like it's probably profitable from a sportsbook element on like a -110, but from a -137 perspective, it's like you're betting on him getting a second reception.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's all you're really doing. This is the same thing as betting a 1.5 over 1.5 receptions.
I was just gonna say, at that point, you might as well just hit the 1.5
if there was one.
If there was an option, right?
But mathematically, you can look at that if you knew what the distributions of the stats and all the players are. But we just explain it to you common sense wise. So, like, how much of a discrepancy do you need? Well, you need a lot for Prize Picks, and then depending on like the people I saw in the Blitz chat, someone was posting like some here are some big discrepancies from last week, and the ones that hit and the ones that didn't. Like people are taking like 20. Like here's one, like the 25 yards, a difference in passing props. It's like that's not enough for passing props. You're talking about like 2 or 3 completions.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it. That's all 25 yards really is. Depending on the team, like dude, Justin Fields, 25 yards is a lot. Why? Because they don't throw the ball that much. Right? And then when he does throw the ball, it's probably not going to be that far, right? Imagine, Matt taking who's a low A dot guy, like Matt Ryan now. He needs a lot more passes in order to make that yardage. But like, dude, if Patrick Mahomes' prop was off by 60 yards, dude, I'm taking that. Right? So it's just understanding how the distributions of each stats. Rushing yard props are better. Right? If there's a discrepancy of 20 rushing yards, like I'm much more confident because those are much more normally distributed.
Right.
Right. So like I had, what did I have yesterday? I had Derrick Henry over 84.5, which is a pretty large number, but the Blitz had him at like 108, 110 yards. So it's like that's a 26-yard discrepancy. So it's like I'll take that.
Yeah.
Right. But like that percentage wise, like we go like 110 divided by 84 or something like that. The percentage is like 30% difference. But if you go down to, let's say, 30% difference of like 20 yards, like that may not even be enough. Like what's 30% of 20? That's what, 4. So it'd be like having a 14-yard receiving prop and the blitz has him at 20. Right? That's based on the distributions of that stat and that player. That's probably not enough. Because that's probably one catch. That's probably one. I mean, like that's not many events. But for Henry to get to 110 rushing yards, it's the difference of, well, the blitz has him for like 25 carries and 4 targets. Right? Obviously, the rushing yards don't matter for the targets, but it's like, dude, if Henry averages, like just in the game, if he gets 25 carries and he averages 3.5 yards a carry, he beats his prop.
You could probably do kind of like a little cool confidence meter here thing based on events to reach a certain threshold. Do something like the lower the amount of events, the lower the confidence of the.
Well, I mean, that would be wouldn't that be literally the standard deviation?
Would it? Yeah, I think it would be.
I mean, yeah, the less events would mean the higher standard deviation.
I'm over here trying to reinvent the wheel. You're right. Yeah, it's basically
right. It is. I mean, it essentially is. But I mean, that may be the easier way, like for people to visualize it. As far as like the more events that make up the projection, the more normally distributed it is, which means the discrepancies don't have to be the 58th percentile is not as far away from the median as with higher standard deviation ones where it's so much further out.
Right.
Did you expect to talk about props or whatever?
No, I like props though. I do think, I've talked before about how I think that props are something that everybody should kind of work into their bankroll if they can. Obviously if you're in a sport or a state where you can do it. And especially for NBA, I think that so long as you are paying attention through the day, I think that NBA props are a really, really profitable thing to be on. And with Prize Picks, it's probably not as profitable. Like it's probably just a sports book thing, where with NBA, if you are vigilant and if you are understanding of the situations that you're paying attention to for the day, like say that you have a day where Anthony Davis is questionable. So every day. But if you're paying attention to one of these situations, like maybe a Jimmy Butler is questionable, we'll say that one. If you're paying attention to that and you have your sports book on hand and you're ready to go and fire at some props and you know what you want to hit, as soon as that news breaks, you have 10 to 11 seconds to go and get onto the sports book and then go hit an over or an under for the players that you have worked out to be the ones that benefit the most if that guy is going to be in or out. And that kind of stuff, I think, is really easy to hit so long as you have a little bit of dedication and are in a position to be able to make those quick snap decisions. NFL, I think that props are soft. I think that people can be hitting them until they are limited. And frankly, most of the people listening to this show are not going to be limited anytime soon, because it's mostly just a drop in the bucket for most of the sports books. So I do think that props are a really nice thing to get into and work on your bankroll. And I also think that props help you develop kind of an idea of a range of outcomes, which is something that I'm obviously super adamant about understanding, because it does help you to visualize kind of once you understand what prop betting is and what sports betting is and how to read a line and understand what a line is saying to you. I think that it really helps you understand that players are not a single projection. They are a range of acceptable outcomes within their deviations. So I do think the props are something that you should learn.
As far as late news and everything in NBA, I mean, you sign up for RotoGrinders. For NBA, all you need is a RotoGrinders premium. Combo premium, you're getting everything. Right, look at all the Q tags. We got Conley questionable, Barnes questionable, Brooks questionable, Boucher questionable. I don't think that's going to matter that much. So you can see here, it's like, okay, well, we have the projections as if they're in. If they have a Q tag, they're going to be in our projections. But we also have this. This will come out a little bit later. The what if projections.
Mm-hmm.
So like you could even see that even though like these guys are in the projections, Scotty Barnes is in the projections now. Well, what happens if he's out? We'll have those projections also. So then you could see it's like, okay, if once Barnes gets ruled out, who benefits and who, like, what happens? And then go not only just for DFS, but then you go on Prize Picks, you go on Underdog, you go on your sports book or whatever, and you hammer whatever. If that raises Van Vliet's points total by 3 or 4 points, and it hasn't adjusted, and the prop is as if Barnes is in, you start hammering those.
Yep.
Now you may have to do them very quickly.
Yeah, you got to be quick.
Right. Yeah, you got to be quick on that. Or you could decide. You could maybe you're like, I think Barnes is going to be out. You just say I think Barnes is out. I'm just going to hit all the projections hit all the props as if Barnes is out, and then when he's out, I automatically get those.
There's
numbers.
even a low chance that you could build in some arbitrage there.
Right.
Pretty low. I don't know how much you're actually going to get in between, but there's a chance you could doing it that way. If you just like say, okay, anybody who's questionable here, I'm going to hit the person who, like, if there's a very plus EV bet, let's take the Van Vliet situation, right? So Scotty Barnes, he's questionable. You look at the projections, and Van Vliet is already an okay bet for the over on his points. Say that he has an over of like 22 or something, and the projection.
We could look right here. Well, let's see. Let's take a look. Right, we could take a look at Van Vliet. I mean, we could look for Trent, because these are all with. So yeah, Van Vliet points. We have his projection at 16.86. The prop is 15.5.
Okay, so say
which isn't enough. It would at this point for Prize Picks would not be worth taking the over on. But I have to assume now. I'm like I said, I would look at the what if projections. But I'm assuming that if Barnes is out, that means Van Vliet's going to be carrying the ball more than Barnes, because Barnes is a semi kind of point guard. I'm assuming his points are going to go up by a point or two.
Yeah.
And if they go up by a point or two, like then it would probably be worthwhile to play.
And say that it was a situation where his prop was 14.5 and the projection was 17.5 before.
Right. Then it would be worthwhile to take right now.
Yeah. Then you just hit that. And then later on, when it gets ruled out, you can look at it, and there is an arbitrage situation there where you could also take the under and get somewhere in between.
Right.
There's good ways to do that if you're paying attention and if you want to dedicate early. I do think that understanding how props work and learning about the process of betting props and building in some arbitrage situations, like, it's worth understanding and worth knowing if you want to do some research on it.
And here at RotoGrinders, we make it very easy for you for NBA. All of our NBA statistical projections, we have a Chrome extension, a Prize Picks Chrome extension that will overlay the NBA statistical projections on Prize Picks,
which is pretty cool.
Right. So like what's one that do I got? Like I got DeMar DeRozan. I could scroll down, see, I'm looking through, what's the difference? 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 I get down to DeMar DeRozan. His prop is 23.5. Our statistical projections have him at 29.04.
That seems good.
That seems pretty good, right? I got a bunch of those. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 7 so far. Right. Here's another one. I don't even know. It's the only prop of him that's up. They'll put up more. Right. Yeah, they already start putting up more. But this fantasy score, right? They use FanDuel scoring. So I'm gonna scroll. Well, obviously, this numbers. Oh, these numbers are. Let me reload. If you see something that's obviously off, just reload because the extension didn't read it. Like we go to fantasy score. Yeah, okay. Now we're good. There's no way that Embiid's projection was only going to be 31 on a fantasy score. Where's Terrence Ross? Terrence Ross. Here you go. Terrence Ross. 22.5 fantasy score. We have his projection at 18.09.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's a 4.5 point discrepancy in a fantasy score for a guy that doesn't even start. Right.
And it's completely points based.
Right, yeah. I mean, right. It's it's 22.5 fantasy score, but Terrence Ross really doesn't do anything other than shoot.
Right. So are you betting is over under at like 17 real life points, right?
Right.
And that goes back to what we were talking about when it comes to understanding how points distributions go through. The volatility of an NBA player is mostly on how they are accruing their points when it comes to fantasy. So something that I've always said is you want to kind of hang your hat on guys who are robust and have like a wide range of things that they can contribute. And then, you can treat point scorers the same kind of as wide receivers, where it's going to come more in chunks. You can treat guys like Luka and Harden and stuff like that. Those guys are way more robust. They're going to be able to contribute a lot of different ways. Even if they fail scoring points, they can still get a triple-double and salvage with 14 assists or whatever. So that's another important concept here is the understanding of
that's why the discrepancies in fantasy points or even PRA, like points, rebounds, assists, I don't need as big of a I mean, I need bigger discrepancies, but not as big. I prefer the fantasy points because especially with FanDuel scoring, like steals and blocks are kind of, I don't want to call them luck stats.
They're luck stats. We can call them luck stats.
They're not extremely predictive, but since they award 3 points like FanDuel scoring, like it gives you that extra, like I could get bailed out, right? Yep. Someone's not cutting it fantasy point wise, and they just end up with like 2 steals in 1 block, and they get there, right? So like I think I got Bam. I got Bam today. Let's see. Where's Bam? Bam is somewhere. Where did Bam go? Oh, there we go. So here, Bam. 33.5 fantasy score. 38.71 projection.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that, especially on the fantasy score, because Bam can get there and, dude, like his PRA, like for instance, his PRA, 33.5. Let's go to PRA. His PRA is good also. I think it's better. I think it's actually lower on underdog. See, look, points, rebounds, assists. Prop is 29.5. Projection 31.56. Like that's not enough for prize picks. But
for the fantasy score.
For fantasy, his fantasy projection is much higher because of blocks and because he's a center and he could block and steal.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I mean. This isn't hard. Like, I don't know. I'm literally showing you what I did. Like, I don't know why people always have questions. Like, I'm just showing you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's hard either. I think that really, and we've talked about it, I think 4 separate times on the show over the last couple of years, of you can be a profitable prop better. You just can. It's really, really not that hard. All it takes is a consistent process and making sure that you're dedicating to hitting the things when they come out early. That's if you have a good projection source that you trust and you go and you find the largest differentials and you stick to a good bankroll management process and you just grind it away. It's not hard. I think that one of the issues, and I talked about this in my Discord the other day. I think one of the issues is that there's very little skill expression when it comes to prop betting. In the same way that there's very little skill expression when it comes to cash games, No, it was in a coaching session that I did this. I think that people want to feel smart. I think that people want to feel like they are like outsmarting the books or outsmarting people. I think people want to have that feeling of expression and that feeling of onus of being able to be smart enough to win at this. When in reality, sometimes it's just not about that, man. Sometimes making money is just boring.
Well,
And
what you're doing is profiting off of other people's mistakes more than anything.
right.
James, remember the season 2 seasons ago where I literally just played the RotoGrinders optimal NBA
That was
lineup.
last year. That was last
year. Was it last year?
It was
No,
last
it was
year.
the year before. No, last year did I play the whole
No,
whatever?
yeah, it was last year. It was last year. It was during the NBA season, and you stopped when we got into mid-January because we were both so done with NBA by mid-January that you didn't want to do it anymore.
No, I think I went till March. I went till March, I believe.
Well,
whatever.
Right,
but I'm just saying that all I did was like whatever the median optimum was, I played. And obviously I would need to, if projections change because if someone was out, I would have to lock in the players that are in and then rerun it. So I may have to do that 2 or 3 times a night. But it's like literally I could have taught my wife. Not saying that she's dumb. She just doesn't play DFS and nor does she know basketball. Like I could have taught my nephew, my 17-year-old nephew or whatever. But I don't know how old he is now. 20. Doesn't watch sports, doesn't follow any of this.
It's 17 to 20.
I don't know. I remember, I don't know. It's somewhere around there. Somewhere that I don't know. I don't know what he is.
Okay.
All
right.
I could have just showed him and said, "Okay, I want you to load this site, right? I'll give you the bookmark, right? I want you to load that in. And then I want you to make sure that the timestamp is the closest to, at 6:55 or whatever, close to lock. And then I just want you to, you put 2 zeros in so you could run this. And just press that button. And all these players that you see here, put that into your lineup. Right? And then get the notifications from RotoGrinders. And if you don't see any notifications, don't do anything. But anytime you see a notification, come in, wait 5 minutes, and then refresh and reload the projections, and then lock in the players that are already in the early again, if you have anyone, and then press the button again. If nothing changes, don't do anything. Mm-hmm. Right? So I don't even have, don't do anything until you get a notification that a starting lineup has come out or someone's in or someone's out, and then just do that. If you did that, I mean, I made like 20 grand, 25 grand, just literally doing that and playing as much of the head-to-heads and 50-50s and low stakes and everything volume that I could find.
And,
right.
And like
I think props are easier than that.
I also think that props are easier than that. And I also think they're just as boring. And that's the thing is people just, there is an entertainment factor of this. And Jordan, I already know your answer to this is you are entertained by making money. And I get that. We've talked about that too. But some people, their entertainment is having a gut call and being like, man, I have this hunch that De'Aaron Fox is going to put up 45 real life points today. I just got this hunch. And they want to just follow that hunch so they can get that sick dopamine drip when it comes to being right about these things, man.
Yeah, but I'm fine with that.
I am also fine with that.
Just understand, are you playing? What are you playing for? Right? If you're playing for that, then you don't play whatever way you want. Why are you watching our show? Do whatever. Don't get the theory of daily fantasy sport. Just play. Go. I'm gonna whatever. Yeehaw. But that's why I always come back to the David Slansky quote. When we play, we must realize before anything else that we are out to make money. So it's to me, the skillful thing, the way that you put it of is it entertaining to just as Alex Santi says in the chat, I've done little more than click a button in NBA cash for about 7 years. Right? Which is more skillful, right? Because you'll see people on Twitter. It's people playing optimal lineups and projections. They don't watch the sport, but I want it to be a skill game. And then you ask them, it's well, how much money you're up? It's I'm actually down. It's so really the skill is to do the simpler thing, like to have the mental fortitude to just go, I'm letting go of the wheel.
Yeah.
And if like that it comes back to what we talked about in the course about just game theory in general, like a very simple game theory. Okay, let me get rid of the spam bots.
Adult dating site.
That most people in when they play DFS will spend the most amount of time on 50-50 decisions. They will go, should I play this guy or that guy? It's very close. And then they spend almost no time on decisions that they think are 75-25. Right? Go, oh, this guy's going to smash. Like, dude, this guy's going to smash. End of story.
Just
right? Like they're done. Like, don't even bother. This running back, the defense is 30th in the league. This offensive lineman is back. Their linebackers out. This guy's got 82% of the carries last game, right? Like, dude, this guy's a lock. This guy's a goddamn lock. No question, and they never think about it. They like that's what they thought on like Tuesday. They never changed anything, never questioned it whatsoever. Sunday, I'm playing 20 lineups, all 20 lineups, right? Ends up getting like 14 points, not having a bad game, but like not a great game.
Mm-hmm.
But on Thursday, from Thursday through Sunday at lock, is going, should I play T. Higgins or Chris Godwin? Should I play T. Higgins or Chris Godwin? Should I play T. Higgins or looking into, okay, well, T. Higgins, he has the ankle injury, and they will spend hours upon hours of T. Higgins or Chris Godwin. And they'll come on my show on Friday or Thursday or something, or the Blitz show or something. I'll listen to Sunday morning shows here on RotoGrinders. There's 14 people. T. Higgins or Chris Godwin. And they're debating T. Higgins or Chris Godwin. You know how much time you should spend on that? Nothing. Like, close your eyes, flip a coin. Oh. You know what you should be spending most of your time on? The stuff that you think is 75-25, but may actually be 60-40.
Yeah.
Like, you're probably on the right side, but you're probably way too overconfident in the probabilities that you should maybe iron that out more. But on the coin flips, the decision in the long run is not going to matter. It's like you just, if I told you mathematically for sure that this decision that 50% of the time, if you would play T. Higgins versus Chris Godwin, I told you for a fact, 50% of the time, one guy beats the other guy. It's like exactly 50%. You know how much time you should spend? Exactly 0 seconds on it, right? Because it wouldn't matter. So this is the same type of thing, James, that you describe of like, well, why don't people just like, well, go on the Blitz projections and on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning and spend an hour, compare one to the other on Prize Picks and Underdog or on your sportsbook lines or whatever it's out, and say, oh, that's a big discrepancy, and then write them all down and just round robin them all, or if on a sportsbook you're just betting them all. And whatever the discrepancy is, you make the bigger discrepancies you bet more on, right? Because you have more of an edge. And then you close your laptop and then you wait till Sunday. Like
no, I know. I'm with you. I think Pete,
isn't that a skill? Like, isn't the skill what we describe it a lot also in the course? And I say it, it's like the more and more you get skillful in DFS, the simpler and simpler your process actually is.
So here's a really good example of that. So I've been running optimizations and simulating GPPs, right? And I finally got to a point where I can do that. And now I'm getting it to spit out all of my optimal lineups too. And then I'm taking that and I'm running it through some portfolio trimming, and I'm running it through a couple other things, and all this is in Python. It's literally one button. It takes about 6 minutes to run about 1,500 lineups through and find out which ones have the highest win equity. And then you know what I do, Jordan?
You play them.
I copy and paste the top however many I'm going to play. and I put them into an export page, and then I grab the export and I just upload on DraftKings. And I will tell you, it is the best process that I have ever had, and I am bored out of my goddamn mind. Because I know I'm gonna press this button. I'm gonna press this little go button in my Spider IDE, and then I'm just gonna sit there and I'm gonna wait for it to run through, and then I'm gonna open up something that I have named my Showdown MME process. And I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna refresh all the connections. I'm gonna take the top 100 or 50 or whatever lineups, put them in the export file, and I'm gonna look at it, and I will make one decision. Do I want to have this 50% owned? Do I want to have 50% of this guy who is going to make my lineups unique? Or do I want to try to balance things out a little bit more? That's the only other decision that I have to make. And then if I want to balance things out a little bit more, I just run it twice. One with that guy and one without that
Right.
It's so boring. And I do think, one of the reasons why you should play DFS, obviously we talk a lot about goals. We talk a lot about things that are not reviewing the slate. Sorry for people who wanted to review the slate yesterday, but this is what we're talking about.
It's a review show. It's whatever.
I know. We're reviewing process. We're reviewing propping and making
money. All the chalk hit. Did you have the Bengal? Okay, you needed the Bengal stack, and then all the chalk hit. So, there you go. What's there to review? I mean, you had Jacobs, you had Walker, you had Eckler, right? You had Burrow, Chase. Right, as long as you mixed in some Paris Campbell or McCall Hart, you won. What's the review? I played a ton. I have a lot of lineups with Michael Gallup and Romeo Dubs zeros in it. That's the review.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, where was I at here? So I think that one of the things about understanding who you are as a player and the goals that you have and why you are playing DFS is unless you know that. And unless you are dedicated to why you are playing DFS, you'll never actually have a process that sticks to what that is. If your goal of playing DFS is to have fun and have some skin in the game and put down $25 for the entertainment value because you're going to be watching your homeboy Celtics and you're excited to see them whoop on Toronto or whatever. I don't know what sports people say. If that's your goal, is to have that entertainment and have that skin in the game and have something a little bit more than just watching the game, then that's awesome. You don't ever even have to worry about the things that we are talking about here. You can just play your Celtics and watch the game, and that's great.
Just like the dude probably that was in first in the Millie just said, you know what? I think the Bengals and Cowboys are going to do. I think the Cowboys are going to run all over the Lions, and the Bengals are going to put up 60 points. I'm gonna spend 10 minutes on the toilet, and I'm just going to say, I just want to play all the Bengals and all the Cowboys and hit enter.
No, and this worked for somebody who took down the Millie Maker 3, maybe 4 years ago, named Bears Fan. Literally, his name was Bears Fan. He just had a full 5-man Bear stack. And he took it down, and he took down the Millie Maker with it. It's hilarious, and sometimes it works out that way. But if that's the reason why you're playing, then you're not worried about making money. You're not worried about being a nit. You're not worried about exposing your edges. You're not worried about those things. And so it's fine to play that way, but don't conflate it with playing that way to make money. There's a very large difference between your goal of making money and your goal of playing the Celtics every slate because you love them. You have to decide which one you want to be.
You don't play scratch. You don't go. I don't see people going to Kroger over here, getting the scratch off lottery tickets. Going, I got a system. No, there is no system. It's negative EV. You're doing it because you're entertained by you don't mind giving up that 28% edge because you like scratching something off and seeing if that's fine to say, but you can't be a long-term winner doing this. You can't. You're playing for entertainment. End of story. And that's fun. I'm not judging you. That's what you get for your dude. I do stuff. I go to wrestling events. People would think I can't believe you spent that much money to go to WrestleMania. It's I can't believe you spent $10 on a scratch off lottery ticket. Right? To me, it's the same thing. Okay. That's your entertainment. That's your entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. It's entertainment value. So it comes down to that. And I do truly believe that if you want to make money, sports betting or prop betting or playing DFS or whatever, you absolutely can, so long as you dedicate yourself to that version of playing. like understanding where the edges are, understanding that it's about bankroll management and process, and sometimes it's really boring.
Right. James, do you think many people, many, not most, but many people, they have the reason why they can't make the switch over is because they've glorified what they think a professional sports bettor / DFS player is.
Oh, my good friend, I have a lot of words about screenshot culture.
No, I'm not talking about screen. I'm not even talking about that.
I think that screenshot culture goes into this conversation very well because of the way that people glorify the idea of winning a GPP rather than making money. And like thinking that it is just if you don't win a GPP every single week that you're a loser and that you're not playing well, and then you redo your process and like that.
No, but that's not what I'm talking about, James. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about not. I'm not talking about Twitter. I'm talking about people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't talk to many people, right? Because I hate people.
Right.
But when people find out what I do, especially if they're men that do watch sports, right, or something like that, like they view it as, oh, so like I wish I was like so you basically like you get paid to like watch sports all day, and I go, I barely watch sports,
right,
and I go, so what the hell do you do? That like to them the fun aspect is like here's something that I watch entertainment wise. Like to them, they're like I come home from work and I put on the Pacers game, or I put on the Bengals game, or I put on U of L or basketball, and this is my entertainment. And your job is to sit there and do exactly what I do, and you get paid for it. Like for that entertainment, it's like no, it's the same thing as like to take the wrestling events for example. Like I watch wrestling, professional wrestling. I go to wrestling events as entertainment. But the guy that does like the play-by-play, the color commentary, and the referees and everything stuff, obviously I can't be a wrestler, right? I'm not athletic at all. But you look at them and you go, wow, they're here to do this. Like, don't they have a great job? And then you find out like how their job is, and like most of it is boring. Most of it is like all you see is the 5% of their like, oh, they're in front of the camera, but 95% of the work is planning stuff out behind the scenes and paperwork and creative meetings and logistical stuff with lighting and like, and you go, oh, I thought it's just you show up and you're a play-by-play. This guy slammed that guy, and like no, like that's their job.
Yeah,
their job. Like the part where we watch Red Zone on Sunday is the recreational part. Like that's not even part of the job. Truthfully, that would be time better spent on doing other things.
Right. Like you
right. It's actually not effective to like, oh, I'm going to play a showdown. I'm going to play Monday Night Football and then watch the Patriots-Bears game. Like, dude, the lineups are locked. Like, your job is done. You can't control what happens in the game. You know what you should be doing? Anything else other than watch this game. Like, if you were actually committed to DFS, you'd be spending that 3 hours working on improving your Python or
researching and filling leaks or something like that, or looking at the next day's slates and getting things set up for different scenarios. Yeah, it's I think that's right. That people
or just like with pro, or James, just like with pro. I mean, we see this more in pro and in sports betting. Like they've had features like YouTube documentaries and stuff like that about like the life of a professional sports bettor, and it's like most of the time it's like it's people staring at screens, right? And something lights up, and you go, okay, bet it there, okay, bet it there, and then by like 8 o'clock at night, like they're out with their family.
Yeah.
Like no one's watching sports. No one is watching sports. And you ask someone like, okay, what do you think of the Pacers this year? And they go, I don't even know who's on the team. Right? They're like, I'm just moving numbers.
No, I don't know that would be the answer, because like I think that most sports bettors or most DFS players know who is on every single team down to like the last roster spot, because you have to know. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they do, but you definitely know their name and you probably know their position, and very likely you know what their fantasy points per minute output can be.
Right. Well, but for DFS, but a lot of sports bettors that are only betting sides and totals and not props, right? Because those markets aren't liquid enough for the top. Also, you get limited and everything. I mean, whatever. That's a whole nother conversation. But like, if you're a top down bettor, and you're just betting on basically Steam, like you don't need to know any. Like, dude, you could be playing Mac college football and go, Akron is. I don't even know if they're in the MAC. I don't know. It sounds like they should be in the MAC. It's somewhere in that area. Like all you know is that one book has -5.5 and another book has -3.5, and the numbers moving, and you take it in one place and then you move on to the next thing. I mean, and then you do that over a long period of time, and you make money. And like, but what I'm saying, James, is that the person that's like, I wish I could be long-term profitable betting sports, thinks that, oh, if I'm able to do that, then I wouldn't need to have this job. Right. And then all I would be doing all day is like, they're envisioning I have 6 TV screens up, and I'm watching, oh, this is going on in that game, that going on in this game, and then I'm in front of my computer
while you're watching.
Right. It's like, no, you're not doing it. Like, dude, you're not doing anything unless you're doing some live betting arbitrage. If you're running models with like live stuff, if there's a delay, like obviously this has all been kind of settled in 2022. The discrepancies between the markets moving and what's on the television screen, that used to be an edge, right? There's a half a minute delay between a book's lines move and. So the team goes up by 3 points and it's like it hasn't moved for like 30 seconds and you slam it before it does. Like that really doesn't exist much anymore. But like the only reason you'd be actually doing like that setup would only exist for that purpose. But once the game starts and you have pre-game lines and that's what your bets are, because even if you have second half, you don't need to watch the game. I mean, it updates. I mean, you could go to NBA.com to see the scores. I mean, it's like you don't need to be watching the game. But that's how a lot of people envision what being a pro sports bettor is. They don't envision sitting in a windowless room with fluorescent lights 12 to 16 hours a day, essentially in front of Excel spreadsheets and charts and a Don Best screen or something similar to that. And like that's what you'd be. And then they look at that and they go, if it wasn't for the fact of what was on their screen, they would think that that's like a telemarketing job, like in a boiler room somewhere, right? Like something like, oh, that's because they keep on picking up the phone, making bets, right? This bet, like whatever. Like, I mean, even though it's on your, like on an app or something, but they look at that and go, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to be in my man cave, right? With 6-8 TV screens in front of me, nice little mini fridge. And then going on my phone and going, yeah, let me take a look at this -8. Yeah, bet on that. Like it's just not what it is.
Yeah. Yep. I can agree with that.
I mean, look at what you do all day. Nothing.
Yeah. Sometimes people will ask me like when Margaret will take Damascus out for the day, and I can just like that is when I can let loose. All right. I'm gonna explain to you what letting loose is for the life of a professional predictive analytics modeler for sports. All right. Letting loose means that I can close the blinds in my office, I can put on a hoodie, I can put in my AirPods, and I can shut off all the lights, and I can just live in my coding environment for 9 hours straight. That's letting loose for me. It's not watching the games. It's not going out and going golfing. It's not like playing video games for 6 hours. No, it's learning a new thing that will find me more edge in the future. That's what it is. So that appeals to people like me, right? That appeals to people like Cardi. Like Cardi really loves to refine his edge. It does not. It doesn't appeal to the dude who just wants to watch the Celtics and make money playing DFS.
The stuff that appeals to me is doing shows like this.
Yeah.
right? My entertainment, my letting loose is, I get to come on and talk about, do a show every morning, and then do a podcast every week, and do a pregame, pre-lock show, and then the MMA show and the soccer show I do, and like I enjoy performing. So to me, this is letting loose. Then almost the other time, what people will ask me on the pregame show. So what are you doing for tonight's NBA slate? So I'll know that in about 7 hours. I don't know, especially in NBA or NFL. Have you taken a look at the NFL salaries that came out? Yeah, I took a look. I made a dummy lineup. I see where, I see where, some guys may be a little underpriced. When I make a determination of what I do, Sunday morning.
Speaking of dummy lineups, I made a mistake during the slate. We'll talk about the slate for half a second. Okay. I didn't get all of my lineups edited. I ran out of time. I was clicking the submit button. I forgot to import one of the lineups that I built because I built in the last 20 minutes so that I don't have any time to actually tinker. And I didn't get my last Millie Maker lineup saved. And it was the lineup.
Was some dummy lineup?
It was just a dummy lineup. It had naked Marcus Mariota. It was terrible.
Did it have real players in it at least?
It had real players, but it basically had a mishmash of a lot of different players that I kind of felt like I wanted to play, but it wasn't a real lineup.
Okay.
And the lineup that I didn't get into that one was my Chiefs stack and all my late games, and the one that actually ended up making me money and making me profitable. It wouldn't have won the Millie, but it's still just a quick reminder out here. Don't edit things on the site, edit them on your phone if you're hand building so that you can just assign them all to the same thing and you don't have to go contest by contest. And it was a mistake.
Yeah, I do it on my phone. Yeah.
Yeah. I usually do it on my phone. That morning, yesterday morning, I was doing it on my computer because because Margaret was getting ready for work and she had to leave at lock. And I was just in my office and it was a whole thing, but hilarious. So if you go and you find my lineup in the Millie Maker and you're like, why did James build this? What info did he have? I didn't. It was just a really bad lineup.
Is it only one?
Yeah, it's just one. I only did 3.
You only did 3.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, that's not it.
Nope.
Lamar, Derek. Oh, so your best lineup. So your best lineup was one that it was just a dummy lineup.
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota, Josh Jacobs, Pierce, Higgins, Gallup, MVS, Andrews, Walker, Detroit deep. At least it was a real line. At least it was real people.
Yeah.
I mean, some people make these dummy lineups that they play, the 3K guy that's injured. I mean, they just basically randomly click on stuff. And it's dude, at least make a lineup that, if it was worst case scenario got in, it's your cash lineup or something.
I mean, the lineup that I made for the 150 that I put in there put up 197, I think. It was really good.
Cash.
But yeah, the other two, leveraging Josh Jacobs with the Las Vegas stack and then hoping that eventually the Baltimore offense gets their shit together. I'll be there one day.
What was my best lineup? Oh, my best lineup came 196.24. Yeah, Burrow, Chase, Hayden Hurst.
Yep.
Right. Brees Hall.
Yeah, that's a lineup that I would have built. That's a good one.
Right.
That Brees Hall injury sucked. He started so hot. He was looking really, really good.
Right. What was my worst lineup? 80.7. Yeah, Lamar Andrews. The Lamar Andrews lineups. Yeah.
Ah, man. Brutal.
Right. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Right. But of course, I play much more contrarian lineup. I mean, this was Chalk City week.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this lineup has a 58.9% total ownership. Right. The winner, 189.2. Right. Jets defense, Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, the highest owned quarterback.
It was literally every piece of chalk except for Mecole Hardman and Paris Campbell.
Right.
And I guess you can say Hayden Hurst, but outside of that, just blanket.
Right. If you jam chalk, you won.
Yeah.
Just fine. And it's not like I didn't have the, I mean, it's not like I fade chalk. It's just that I may not have them as together as much.
I meant to have a Cincinnati stack this week. I wrote up a Cincinnati stack, and then I was
under on Cincinnati. They were overowned.
Yeah, no, I know. I meant to have one, but like if I would have had that, I would have had it with probably Breece Hall instead of Kenneth Walker. And like I would have been smart about it, and I wouldn't have the Jets defense either. But I digress. It doesn't matter.
I had a lot of the Titans defense.
I liked the Titans defense a lot because why on earth would we trust Matt Ryan to do what he did again last week?
Well, also I was playing a lot of Derrick Henry, so like that was.
And I love Derrick Henry as well. I get that.
Right. Okay, so there. So I mean, people, why would review the slate? Review what? We talk about whatever we talk about, right? It's Mondays with McCool. James, people can find your stuff, paydirtdfs.com, as well as picking up the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. You know the tools that James talked about that he puts in and trims his lineups? Well, I mean, you have it coded in Python, but you could do it manually pretty quickly in Excel, right? And we have that as, I mean, I use this. I use it. Like I'll be building showdown lineups tonight, and I'll be using the duplication predictor as well as the portfolio trimmer to build. I probably only, tonight's game is awful.
I don't even think I'm going to play it, man.
Right. I'm doing a show. I'm doing the pre-lock show. I got to play it now.
I don't think I can subject myself to it. I'll play it. Jordan, I will play NBA instead.
No, I'm playing NBA also.
Well, but I hate NBA. And
okay. So it's getting to the point. Okay. You're playing NBA over NFL showdowns.
Yeah. Over an NFL showdown where I think that my process on showdown is the best that it's been in years. And
Patriots.
I'd rather play NBA. Oh, it's gross. But yeah, you can find everything from me at paydirdfs.com. Find me on Twitter at paydirt_DFS. And yeah, the tools have been fantastic. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback on them. There are a couple updates that I'm going to be putting in the next couple days regarding a couple of portfolio management tools. So be sure to be on the lookout for that email coming out.
Yep. And you can go to theoryofdfs.com and pick that up. Give me those thumbs on your way out the door. We got NBA Grinders Live later today on the channel. With Crunch Time, which is brought to you free all year by FanDuel. Then I'll be on the NFL pre-lock show for Monday Night Football. We got live locks. We got the going long. We got tons of the betting content on the Scores and Odds YouTube channel. So subscribe over there. And I will see you tomorrow. Right? I'll see you tomorrow as I always are, answering your DFS strategy questions, your sports betting questions, even if you'd like. Monday through Friday. 11 o'clock Eastern on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.